Canada prides itself on being a human rights leader and has prided itself on being an international human rights leader. What we saw is Canada not being at the forefront of both fulfilling its obligations or participating with the international community.
A group of Canadian human rights activists has done what the federal government can't or won't: visit Canadians detained in northeastern Syria. The civil delegation is renewing its calls for the federal government to bring people with suspected links to ISIS back to Canada to face trial.
They languish, warehoused with thousands of other foreign nationals in detention centers across the region, held beyond the reach of law, far from outside scrutiny, in a detention regime that is devoid of any sense of accountability, and in which human rights violations are unsurprisingly rampant. It has echoes of the widespread abuses we witnessed following September the 11th. We found ourselves thinking of Guantanamo Bay.
The group was able to visit a Canadian woman in the detention camp and 13 children believed to be Canadian citizens, along with 2 of 9 Canadian men being held. The men say they'd been interrogated dozens of times, sometimes by people they believe to be American security officials. However, Senator Kim Pate says some interrogators may have been Canadians, and whatever was learned from those talks is likely not admissible in any court of law.
We were told by government officials prior to going to Syria that the RCMP had been in Syria or has been in Syria. It's possible that these men have been interviewed by Canadian officials, but they don't know that. That is in itself a huge legal issue. One
of those men detained, Jack Letts, known as Jihadi Jack, who previously expressed his support of Sharia law. But his parents have said Letts is prepared to face trial so long as it's in Canada. The delegation underlined that there's no one narrative of why or how these Canadians ended up in Syria. Some may have gone voluntarily and some may have been coerced. Regardless, the delegation says Canada has an obligation to repatriate those with the protections of Canadian citizenship.
We talk about a camp, but we are talking about the mass arbitrary detention of thousands of children in that camp. Children who are growing up, have been growing up for years now in those circumstances. Again, huge numbers of them, including right now, 13, we believe, Canadian citizen children.
The administration in northeastern Syria says it's ready to release the detained Canadians if Canada will issue travel documents and send someone to pick them up. But the federal government has yet to do so. City News contacted the office of Foreign Minister Melanie Joly, but has not had any response. In Ottawa, Shaoli Lee, City News.